Hey everybody, I am here with Corey Stephenson, our 2024 Masterclass inductee. And also this is technically, I could say, first time we've been in a race shop. So I guess we could call it race shop.
This is the
first race shop episode, I guess, in a way.
It is.
First of all, you grew up in Hamilton, Alabama, which is 2 hours away from Talladega Superspeedway. Mm-hmm. So how did you what started you started in racing to begin with?
So I have always been a quote unquote a gearhead, as some people call it. I grew up, my dad, I pulled my first motor at like 9 years old. So my dad kind of used me. We worked together. So he kind of used me to do a lot of we would buy and sell cars all the time. Mm-hmm. And would buy cars at auctions. And they might have a blowed head gasket or might need a transmission or another motor put in it. And he would get them, and then I would do the work on them. So I did that most of my teenage years, and always enjoyed cars. I liked older cars. I had like a 70 Roadrunner one time. That was a really cool car to have, probably like the coolest car that I ever had, Mopar. And always just like cars and mechanics in general. I get that from my dad. And probably, I don't know, I was like 11 or 12, I think around that age, when my cousin Ann and Randy invited me to the first NASCAR race that I had ever been to, which was at Talladega. So I got to go and watch the Talladega race in my teenage years. And I had always liked NASCAR, always been a NASCAR fan. So that kind of just like hooked me on NASCAR. So like growing up my teenage years, like I was a big video gamer, but I gamed with like NASCAR, like PlayStation, the original PlayStation. Yeah. Like I played that hours upon hours upon hours, before, like they had the internet and all the simulators and stuff that they have today.
It's kind of like iRacing.
Yeah. So like it's iRacing against the computer.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I did.
But that. I mean, I've never played iRacing, so I don't know how it is. But I'd imagine, because I don't know if it's got I don't know if it's like NASCAR Heat 4 or NASCAR Thunder, for instance. I don't think it's like that, but. Yeah. I've never played it. Yeah, I don't have nothing strong enough to run it. Not even my office computer at home can run it. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see the kind of those simulators nowadays. Yeah. Whereas back 20 years ago, plus I don't know however long, you'd just be racing against. It'd just be you and the computer. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yep. So I just had a controller. I didn't have the steering wheel, and I played that a lot growing up. But always a NASCAR fan. Love NASCAR. Still follow it today, but always liked auto racing in general, just because that mechanics and cars, because just enjoying cars in general.
So we're at Talladega. That's where your love for the sport really began then.
Yeah. I mean, I was a fan for NASCAR and enjoyed watching NASCAR, on TV. But once I actually got to go there and get to see the first car that like ever in person doing 200 miles an hour and a pack of them. And it just really just I was like, one day I want to do that. Like I want to race. Mm-hmm. And I've always felt like I would be decent at it, because I know that how just if you put enough effort and work into your trade, that you will become good enough at it. So that's kind of where it come from. That's kind of how I got started, was in the mechanics. And then as soon as I got to go to Talladega, that kind of sealed the deal. Is like, one day I'm going to do it.
So, but yeah, you came to Southern Illinois about a little over 10 years ago now.
Yeah. Yep.
And you, in your rookie season was this past season. And tell you what, you raced at 14 different tracks across 5 different states: Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, Missouri, and Iowa. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you raced at Boone Speedway, Paducah International Raceway, which are really well-known facilities, but you also got Southern Illinois Raceway, which is not too far from where we're at right now, and Wayne County and Benton Speedway in Missouri. Yeah. So when was the first opportunity that you were given to even purchase a Modlite to race in to begin with?
So I got to thank Tom So I work with Tom Filkins, Tom and Matt.
Yeah.
I work just with Tom, and Tom has been trying to get me to get into racing for years because we worked several years together. And I'm always, we like to pinch pennies. We're cheap. So
I mean, sometimes racing cheap is a way to do it. Sometimes, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But it kind of depends on the depends on the equipment that you got.
Yeah. So anybody that knows Tom knows that. Yeah, he got the purple car, and he's like, man, I've got this car that'll be perfect for you. And I don't, all the other times he's come to me, I was like, there's no way I'm going to buy. I was like, I'm too cheap. I'm not going to get into it. Like, I'm just not going to do it. And then I don't know, just this time he was just like, I'm telling you. And I was like, well, we'll go look at the car. And it's just like Mackenzie says, like, you'll look at a puppy, you're going to come home with it.
Yeah.
So we went and looked at the purple car, and I was like, man, this is super cool. And we made the decision there, like
to purchase the car,
to get the car, and it's been all history since then.
So you've had a really impressive rookie year, and that's why you're going to be a masterclass inductee. You and I believe Austin Park were up for it. I believe.
Yeah.
Because you both were rookies, and so either way, a rookie would have been in it regardless. Yeah. But I chose you because of the amount of improvement that you had made over the season. You raced over 40 events.
Yeah.
Won, I believe, 10 or 4 heat races, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't get any feature wins, but hopefully
close.
Got second. Close. I believe that. I think I remember that race. Yeah. That was at Wayne County.
It was.
I believe it was. Yeah. You were fast that night, really fast. And I don't remember who won that. Ended up winning the race.
Steve ended up winning it.
Steve did?
Yep.
Steve did? Yeah.
Yep.
So, but you were pretty close.
It was
pretty close.
It was. And, I was right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Brad Norman got his first win too, and a Modlite as well, and I was there for that too.
That's cool.
And it was cool. It's cool to capture first wins.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what car they drive. Like, I've captured first win. I've captured Brad's first win. And I've captured a lot of people in victory lane, and very famous drivers at that. Yeah. Almost to the level of Kyle Busch of all people.
Yeah.
But awesome. It was his son, but still it counts regardless, right? So, but 25 races in, almost a little over halfway through the year, you guys decided to buy Old White here.
Yeah.
What kind of influenced that decision?
Well, so I knew the purple car was a 2003, 2000 something, early middle 2000. And we were at, where was that? One race there. Brownstown. Yes, thank you. We were at Brownstown, and Matt was in the car there, and Tom had pitched it to me, like, won't you buy the white car? And I'm like, that car's really nice. Like, I don't want to spend, here I am trying to pinch pennies again and just cheap. And he was like, well, just drive it. So I drove it after that race, and it's just like going and looking at a race car and going and looking at a puppy. Like, I just fell in love with it. Yeah, I fell in love with it. So after the race was done, Matt, like, they got me all in the car, and I got to go out there for like 5 laps in it, and I was like, I really like the way this car drives. And so we worked out a deal, and I was able to get this thing, and it has been really good for me. It's been a good car. It's Pro chassis, and the guys at Pro have been good to work with. They're awesome for parts. If anybody needs any Modlite parts, go to proracecars.com. They're awesome to work with. I've got just about every part you need out there.
So, but as we mentioned before, you raced at Boone Speedway.
Yeah.
In one of the biggest races for these cars in the country.
Yeah.
Best of the best in the nation are there. Like, I think Freeburg was up there. I think, and there's so many good cars up there. And going in there as a rookie, did you learn any new kind of new things you could do to the car? Any new kind of any tips that anybody else had given you? Or is there a story about anything else?
There is a story. So we raced Marshalltown on Friday night. And
yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me that.
So not everybody, like most people wanted to save their cars for Boone. And I was like, well, if I'm going, I'm going to race every race that I can while I'm up there. Like that's a long drive and we're going to get our biggest bang for the buck. So we raced Marshalltown and I was in the B feature. And I finished like a couple places out of
transfer.
I transferred into the A main. And, Shane Hutchison, I'll never forget he's like, man, you would have passed those cars if you would have run the top lane. And I'm like, I'm not going to run the top lane. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I was like, not going to do it. Because the only time I ever flipped a car was at DuQuoin when I got up into the top lane. So I threw out
a little bit of a superstition.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just going to be a bottom feeder. I'm going to stay on the bottom.
I mean, not everybody is comfortable with running the top. Like you see, like even the most experienced midget drivers in the world, Jada Vadisian is a great example of that. She runs the top at almost every track that you go to. Yeah. And that's bitter before, but she's able to make it work when that doesn't happen. Yeah. And for you, I mean, everyone's not comfortable with running it. Not everybody is, and that's okay. But usually, in most cases, the top lane is usually the best lane to go for because it'll give you more speed coming off the corner. But like I said, not everybody's comfortable with it. Yeah. I mean, this was your first year, so you're not in which car was it in purple?
No, I was in
this one.
Yeah, I was in this one.
Okay, so so it was. So you weren't comfortable with this car running the top like that
because that was only like my 5th or 6th race probably in this car too, and. Shane, he was like, I'm telling you, I was like, I ain't going to do it. I was like, I'm not there yet. I was like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not there. I'm not there. But we were running the second B feature at Boone. And I was like, you know what? I may flip this car, it may total it, and I run the car in there hard, and it actually stuck on the high side. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing it.
Yeah. And the thing about Boone is it's risky to run a track like that because it doesn't have any sort of fencing on the corner like what SIR or Wayne County has. It doesn't.
There's no wall. There's no wall. There's no wall in the
turn. It don't have it.
We watched a guy get carried out on a stretcher. Like in hot laps because he completely jumped the turn.
You're an owner driver, which not a lot of people are. Some people, a good chunk of people are drivers, but they're not owners, and they're driving for somebody. Good chunk of everyone around here in Southern Illinois is owner drivers. Quite a few. So there's a lot that goes into doing that.
Yes.
And so what kind of challenges do you how do you overcome challenges that may arise with you? Like if the setup is wrong, or if there's an issue with the car in whatever corner of the race car, like what do you personally do to overcome those challenges?
Yeah. So it's really, it's a big challenge for me throughout the year, because I travel for work. I travel for my job. So, if I did not have my beautiful wife, Mackenzie, helping me when I am not here doing tires, cleaning the car, washing the car, she's starting to kind of get into some setup stuff too with helping me while I'm gone. So I could not do this without her. So shout out to her. I could not. There's no way that I could. So I think time management is definitely a struggle. Because if you have a bad weekend, before, like you say, you wreck, whatever the case is, and then I have to travel the following week, as soon as I get back from my trip, I go to work on the car. As soon as I get in, work till midnight, get up and, get ready for the race next day and get everything replaced. So time management is definitely a challenge, and just keeping up with, just all the requirements. I haven't, still got to have a regular 8 to 5 job. So unfortunately, one day not. But
so from 2024, this was your first year. What was the one race that stuck out to you the most in this year?
Oh, so I was thinking about that question. That one's a tough one because I raced 42 races.
Out of 42, you gotta choose.
You know, like to choose one.
I mean, it's hard to choose something like that.
Yeah. So I was thinking, you mentioned it earlier, the Wayne County finish when I finished second. You know, I finished.
That's pretty memorable one for sure.
Steve finished ahead of me, and then Kevin finished, behind me. So to finish between the Cole brothers, like I felt like,
and they're really well known.
I mean,
really well known racers.
I mean, be able to race with them, like I felt, accomplished. Like it just felt like I had kind of taken a little bit of a next step, affirmation. So that was a really cool race. The Boone race, that weekend, racing, because if you race for the best, you ain't got no choice but to get faster or just keep getting whooped. So that was a big turning point in how I drive and how I set up the car with running the high side at Boone. So that was a big turning point, I think.
Definitely, like at Boone, I mean, you said it, like you just stuck it in there and it just stuck. Let it, and it stuck.
It stuck.
I bet you had the confidence to do it. I mean, it also varies on track conditions too. But I mean, and what if your car is even capable of running it? It could either be too tight and want to just go this way, or too loose, and it'll just want you to go straight to the wall. But or in the case of Boone, off the face of the earth. But but it's pretty. But it's pretty cool that you got that confidence to do that. But it doesn't happen in every place. Like DuQuoin, it's like at DuQuoin in the building, it is flatter than the floor on this garage. And it. No, like it makes for good racing, but for these cars, it's not that good.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
But great for fans. It's great for fans. Like if you like beating and banging, like you need to come to the DuQuoin race.
Yeah, and we are running them this year. And that also begins the season there. But you mentioned before you guys are going to be running at Duck River as well. For their supposedly, they haven't announced it yet, obviously, but by the time this goes out, they probably would have by this point. But it's over Valentine's, like the weekend of Valentine's Day, like the 14th, the 15th, possibly the 16th. You mentioned to me, But and DuQuoin, we at Wayne County Speedway, we're running there on the Wayne County, but at DuQuoin on the 28th and March 1st. Right. We're running these cars, and I think the first night, I believe, it's $500 to win. I have to look at the graphic on that, but
that's awesome.
But a lot of money is going to be leaving that building that weekend, and it's definitely looking forward to seeing. Definitely looking forward to seeing a lot of drivers there. More famously, in my mind anyway, was Matt Filkins passing late, like right at the finish, basically to win the race, and that was a 22, I think, or 23, and then most memorably, again, Matt jumping the berm, hazard style. I remember seeing Jeremy Sneed. He was standing over there on turn 4 next to where the cone's at. And I remember watching on the video him just like looking this way and like scooching out of the way. Just because you never know. It could just jump over the concrete barrier and hit you. Out of the 14 tracks that you had visited, this is just a little follow-up question. Out of the 14 tracks that you guys raced at over the entire stretch from February to October, let's just say. Which one was your favorite to actually drive?
I really liked Doe Run. Doe Run was a fun track to race on.
A lot of people nowadays are kind of putting some stuff around it, like some bad stuff on top of it, like some negativity towards it. Which, I mean, I see that and I respect their opinion, but like I've never been there. I've never been to Doe Run. No, really? I've never been there.
Really?
I'm gonna try to go this year, but they've not put their schedule out yet. They've not. I know Farmington has, which is about 6 minutes up the road.
So they're gonna do 4 Modlite races.
So is that a track you maybe consider running this year?
So I definitely will run Farmington. So I actually ran Farmington last year, and it was a fun track. I had the purple car when I ran it. It was a fun track. I think I got top 10 on it. It was fun. It's a bigger track. I mean, size wise, it looks bigger, like size. Yeah, but gearing doesn't.
It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of drives like a big track like Red Hill, but then again, it's small. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I just never understood the place. But I have been trying to go there for a long time. My buddy, he's been there and he loves it there.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves it there. They run sprint cars, modifieds, all those other cars weekly.
Yeah.
That again, like I said, size wise, it's small. But again, you're running them. I mean, Doran runs B mods on their track, and they're a sixth of a mile. They're smaller than Marion, so smaller than Wayne County too.
It was a little bit smaller than what I had anticipated when I got there, because but I think if you ran like the High Line, it would probably be considered a larger track. But it was a fun track. I actually had fun that night. Like it was good just to race there and to get a top 10, and it was just. I just enjoyed it.
But Tim, that was pretty fun. But out of all of them, what would be your favorite that you've been to? I know I kind of threw that on you kind of unexpectedly, but I mean that's a good question to ask because I mean
definitely short tracks are my favorite.
You went to a few of those.
Yeah. I like racing Wayne County. I like Doe Run. And Clarksville. I don't know. I got to pick, I guess, two of them. Coles County.
Coles County. They are going to be running those things weekly now. These cars.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited.
I really love that they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I really love that they're doing that. And Brian Rick, he's done an amazing job with that place.
Yeah.
I went up there back in July, and I really loved it up there. I mean, for me, it's 3 hours, but I mean, I really enjoyed my time there. It was with their Corn Belt Classic. I think they had last July, around 4th of July weekend, or the week of 4th of July anyway. But I've never seen these things run on there.
Oh, you haven't?
No. But I did. I think I watched them on their streaming service, WFO TV, which is completely free for anybody that's wanting to watch any racing at Coles County Speedway. But and also watch any WFO micro sprint races this year. But I do remember, and they seem to run pretty decently well on that track.
Yeah. It's
even though that track's never seen them before. At least till up to last year. But.
Yeah, it's a fun track. I don't know that one. I don't know. It's a tough one to pick one of them. I don't know. Coles County, Doe Run. Between those two, probably.
I mean,
we'll say Coles County. We'll just go with Coles County.
Coles County.
We'll go.
Okay, we'll just go with that.
We'll go with that.
So. You're being inducted in the master class. We don't have a date set yet, but if we don't get the date set, it'll be at DuQuoin on the 28th or the 1st of March. It's an incredible honor for you to be inducted. And you're the first rookie to actually be inducted into this class since I started it 2 years ago. You're the third inductee. Eli Holden was our first, and Matt Filkins was our second one. And both of those drivers are talented. Eli's got over 100 wins in the junior sprint. Has been trying to vie for a golden driller for a long time in the junior sprint. Couldn't get it done this year, sadly, because of motor issues. And then Matt last year being a 7-time Modlite champion out at SIR and a 4-time at Wayne County. I mean, it just makes sense to induct those drivers because they've gotten so much more success. But with you, it's different because, like I mentioned earlier, there's more improvement. You've showed more improvement, and I've taken notice to it. And so, how do you feel as a driver, especially a rookie at that, with little to really no experience, really, but gaining more and more as the year goes on? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about being inducted into such a great class of drivers, even though there's only 2 of them?
Yeah, so I mean, those are big names. I mean, Eli Holden
here in Southern Illinois, it's pretty big names.
He's gonna be famous.
I always say
he already is, but
around everywhere, and he's basically the next Kyle Larson. Basically, it's a pretty big honor for you to be inducted in such a big ordeal.
It is. I mean, Matt. I mean, you can't get around any Modlite material. Google search Modlites without finding something with Matt's car with the Filkins name on it. It's a huge honor to be inducted into that class with those guys. The key is, I'm really looking forward to this next year and kind of, like with getting the white car from him and continuing what he was able to do in this car in this next year. So, I mean, it's a big honor. I really appreciate it. A lot of hard work has been put into it, but we're close. We're close.
Getting close to that first feature win. Wherever it's going to come from.
Yeah.
Hopefully it comes either close to home and we're out or far away enough where he'll represent Southern Illinois in some capacity.
I mean, those are just two huge names that it's really an honor to be mentioned in
for sure.
In this
and that's what this interview is about, is just to kind of talk to you, kind of talk about, give your thoughts on what the masterclass means to you. And it's something I started just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I've only been doing this 4 years. This is going to be my fifth. This August is going to be my 5th year. It's going to be going on 5 years.
Okay.
And this is a big deal that I put on every year, other than Driver of the Year, which I do not believe you were nominated for this year. I do not think. Yeah. I think he was, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think I got top 6, but
yeah,
I didn't make the last cut.
Yeah, Austin Park ended up winning it this year, but
I'm going to say a bot that Austin had a bot and he cheated the system. And so that's what he did.
Austin. Do I need to rethink that? Rethink that win?
I think he knows computer programming or something. He
but no, Austin's had a good year too.
He has.
I mean, he won the championship out at SIR. He won Driver of the Year for me. Of the community as well.
Awesome.
And also, I mean, since you've been joining into the sport, and that also brings up another question, is since you've joined the sport in this past season, you've met a lot of people, especially around here in Southern Illinois, and you've really, you had Tom Filkins and Matt Filkins to kind of kickstart that, and bring you into the scene here in Southern Illinois. And you've been given, I'm pretty sure, a lot of tips and a lot of advice on how to do a lot of this stuff, especially either on track or here in the garage, or at the track setting it up. So
Matt has been. He has spent countless hours with me. He's been very helpful. I appreciate the DRT. Tom and Matt and the support that they gave me, and just endured all my questions. All my questions.
For sure. I'm pretty sure from the time that they convinced you to buy the car to now, I'm sure there's probably been quite a few questions asked. I'm almost positive.
Yeah. So they've been a great help, and other drivers have too. It's impossible to list everyone that has gave me advice, and just even from Danny Jolly just telling me, like, you probably shouldn't put your fingers in the steering wheel because you're going to end up breaking your hand one day. And I'm like, oh, is this true? Because seen that on NASCAR. He's on NASCAR. And I'm like, oh yeah. So there's so many people in the Modlite community and just the racing community overall. Just is a good community to be in. Like they're helpful. They may wreck you on race day, but they're very.
They might wreck you either intentionally or if they're absolutely upset with you for whatever reason, they will just dump you into the wall. But
overall, it's a good community to be in. Good family, and we've made a lot of friends over this past year. That
definitely. That's what I love. That's what I love when I started this. Is I've met so many people from across the. Not only here in the area, like from Benton and here in Southern Illinois, Western Indiana, Western Kentucky, even. But also up near Central Illinois as well, up at Coles. And I love everybody that I've met, and I've really loved working with everybody that I've ever met. But the number 5, that's one thing. And I remember Mackenzie telling me at Benton Speedway when I went there a few months ago that that's actually the same font style, and that kind of came from Kyle Larson's number. He runs it with Hendrick.
It did, yeah.
So, and I would imagine you guys are pretty big Kyle fans, I'd imagine.
I am. I like to say I was a Larson fan before he was really good. I know he's always been really good, but before he made it
before he big, right? Racing with Chip.
When he was with Chip Ganassi, I was a fan of Larson at that time. But so I enjoy watching Larson. He's a once in a generational talent. And I just enjoy.
I mean, he just picked up 2 Golden Drillers at the Tulsa Shootout. He just did, and he had one heck of a battle with Bell at the end, doing what's now called the Larson line now, around the top lane and on the cushion.
How in the world?
I don't know either, but that takes real talent to do that, especially in the micro sprint of all things. And Larson would have had it if he had maybe 5 more laps. He would have had that 3rd one.
Yeah.
And he just won preliminary night at the Chili Bowl this past Monday.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much one of the favorites to win the Chili Bowl Nationals this year. But as we're recording this, the Chili Bowl is going on right now. The Thursday night prelim is going on right now. Or, the prelim night's going on right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing I remembered from getting to know you guys over the past year or so is the number 5. I always wondered where that came from, and I never really noticed that was the same font as Kyle Larson's car, his 5 on the Chevrolet Camaro that he drives for Hendrick, and I never noticed that. I really never noticed it until Mackenzie told me.
Yep, I'm a Larson fan.
I think
how could you not? Everybody,
despite the,
it's true.
Despite that incident that happened, despite the incident. But we're going to just call it that. We're not going to
incident.
We'll just call it that. But besides that, he rebounded very well.
He did.
After that, won every single race that he ran on.
As soon as he got with Hendrick, like it was Katie Barton.
And then, like you said, Hendrick gave him another chance, and then he went to win the championship that same year.
I know.
Which is even crazier.
Yeah.
But yep. To kind of cap it off, for even though you're a rookie and this is going to be your sophomore season in the Modlite division, what advice would you give to, like, say I was to drive a Modlite, for instance, and what would you tell me would be, well, obviously probably get your start with Filkins if he's got a spare car. But what would you get? Not entirely, but just depends on the circumstance. But what would you give advice for any rookie? What advice would you give them that you have learned over the past year?
So be patient. Competition in this sport is a little more challenging than I anticipated it being. There's some really good drivers out there that have been racing for a very long time. So be patient. I would say that's one thing. Work on your craft.
That's major. That's really important.
You gotta work on your craft. You gotta work on your car. You gotta figure out where you're lacking, and you need to work on that. And just don't compete if you're just out there to make laps. But we're in it's a competition. It's a race. That's why it's called racing.
Yeah,
racing.
That's why it's called that. That's why these are called race cars. Yeah. They're built to be raced. They're built to be ran.
Yeah. So
they're built to be turning left and sometimes right.
Yeah. Right. I think we should do a road course race.
I've seen those before. I would actually love to see that. That would be pretty cool.
I would.
That'd be cool to see. I really would love to see that if that was to ever come to fruition.
So that be patient, work on your craft, and hold your line. Those are the three things of advice that I could give. And there's people in the sport that will help you to get better if you will listen and want to get better.
It depends on the quit. It's just luck if that happens. Well, if you're a rookie and you win your first race, that's just
probably the only one out there. Yeah, my very first race, I had drove the car around the subdivision here, and I had drove it kind of around the pond over there at a neighbor's house, and just to try to get used to the shifting. And then we headed off to Duck River, Tennessee, and then I practiced on Friday. We raced on Saturday, and I got a top 10 out of 21 cars.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That very first race ever, and I was like, dude, I'm going to be winning like every race, by the time I get this down pat. And I just drove a smart race. So you can finish good if you drive a smart race, for new drivers too. Don't win it on the first lap. Don't try to win it on the first lap.
Don't try to, especially when the field's full of really good guys like Steve and Kevin and Matt and all of them.
Yeah.
Even
Danny,
Freeberg too. Brandon Freeberg. Yeah.
He's awesome. He's been helpful. There's so many guys that has helped me in the sport, just in Modlites in general, that I would be here all night if I named them, and just thank everyone for helping me. For giving me good advice. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, community support, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in this sport. But anyways, Corey, thank you for taking the time with me. I know it kind of went a little bit long, but I mean, wanted to keep this a little, at least somewhat entertaining. Just didn't want to ask all the questions on the sheet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wanted to kind of jump into some different areas and do all this other things and all that. So thank you very much for taking the time with me.
Thank you for all that you do for the sport, for the media.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Want to thank anybody on the car?
Yeah. So Stack Supplements, man, they've got supplements there that you could literally that will grow you abs. Not really, but they go to Stack Supplements. They have been beneficial. Amy Eckert with H2H Realty, Cold Blooded Coffee, Big Blues Q's, Smith Excavating. There's just a lot of partners. Karen Counseling Ministries, Pro Race Cars, Heartland Wraps. Man, there's just been a lot of people that have been pivotal in helping me to get where I'm at, and I wouldn't be there without the help of the sponsors that I have. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting me. Thanks for all that you've done for the team and for making my dream come true of being a race car driver.
But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview video. I want to try to do more of these, like going to race shops like this, or garages in this case, and doing this more with a shop tour series. If you guys want to see that, just let me know, and we'll definitely try to make it work somehow. Again, thank you again, Corey, for helping.